All right, guys, so today we're going to talk about atoms. So atoms are something that pretty much everything in the entire world has in common, right? If you think about you and the computer or technology that you're using to do this assignment right now, and you try to think about what you guys have in common, you're not going to think of very much. You're going to think about all the things you don't have in common, like you're alive and your technology is not. You have a brain, you have a heart, your technology doesn't. But both of you guys are made up of matter. And all matter comes from atoms. Atoms are made up of even smaller particles called protons, neurons, and electrons. Atoms are mostly empty space, and they can combine with other atoms. And that's how we get all the different types of matter, is how different atoms combine together to create different things or to fill up space. So everything around you is made of matter. Your body is made of matter. Literally anything that has mass, that takes up any amount of space, solids, liquids, gases, those are all states of matter, right? So everything is made up of matter. And that matter is made of atoms. So atoms are so small that they're called the building blocks of matter, because they're literally the tiniest particles that can give matter its basic properties. So they're made of even smaller particles called protons, neutrons, and electrons. So protons, the middle of the atom, which is called the nucleus. And then electrons orbit on the outside of the nucleus. So you've got the protons and the neutrons making the nucleus, and you've got the electrons kind of going all around the nucleus. So different types of atoms contain different numbers of protons, electrons, and neutrons. If you've done the atom board, the atom Montessori board in class, then you are familiar with some of this and how some of it works. So atoms have chemical bonds that hold them together, that form molecules. So when two oxygen atoms combine, they form an oxygen molecule. So just like atoms, molecules are also too small for us to actually see through a regular microscope. Molecules make up like all of the familiar materials that we see around us, including water, rocks, plastics, woods, living things. The molecules can be, the way it's made up can be really complex. And as you kind of continue on in schooling, you'll get opportunities to model some of those molecules, and it's pretty fascinating what they connect as and how complex that design can be to create these molecules. A water molecule is made up of 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom, so keep in mind that it doesn't always have to be the same type of atom that connects with other atoms. They can combine with really any atom. So a pure element is something that would only contain atoms of that type. So for example, copper is a type of an element, and like a pure copper wire would only contain copper atoms, whereas like you could have a copper blend and that's not going to be a pure copper. Okay, so the size of the atom actually depends on the type of the atom and how it bonds with other atoms in a molecule. But the average size of an atom is so small. Like if you took one strand of hair, just one tiny piece of hair, you could fit between 150,000 to 300,000 molecules on just that one piece of hair. So they're unbelievably small. The scientists have to use electron microscopes, magnifiers, to be able to see individual atoms. And those microscopes are insanely expensive. So the ones that we have at schools are not even remotely powerful enough to be able to see an atom. But we do know that they exist. I mean, think about when you're filling up a balloon and you're blowing air into this balloon. The balloon is expanding because the gas that you're putting into the balloon is made of particles. It's made of atoms, right? And those join together to form the air molecules that are then bouncing and pushing the sides of that balloon to make it bigger. But if you make it too big, or if you press a pin into it, it pops and those molecules scatter everywhere, right? They're no longer contained in that space. Um, think we're actually to our key parts already. That went really fast today. So our key points, matter is made of atoms. All matter is made of atoms. Atoms are much too small for us to ever see without using very expensive tools like electron microscopes. And atoms are made of protons, neutrons, and electrons. The proton and neutrons bond at the center, and the electrons flow around that. That bond in the middle of protons and neutrons is called the nucleus of the atom. And molecules are simply particles that are made of two or more atoms that have come together. So I hope that helps answer all the questions today.